Welcome to the City of Newark's Caribbean Commission segment, where we're using this platform to inform, to engage, to educate, and even discuss policy items that we can recommend to the City Council and the Mayor's office that will improve the lives of Caribbean residents. My name is Esther Lours, and I am the Public Relations Officer for the Caribbean Commission. In studio today is Commissioner Bernard Rollins, my co-host and co-host for previous segments. We also have our expert guest, Attorney Winston Tucker. Mr. Tucker is no stranger to us. He has appeared on previous immigration segments, and he's also one of the Jamaica's 60th Independence honorees. So welcome. So today, you might already guess, we're going to be talking about immigration. And so I want to start off with sharing my immigration journey. I was born in Jamaica, and my immigration journey started way before 17 years old when I stepped foot on the first American Airlines in Kingston, Jamaica, and landed in JFK. So while growing up, the petition process took so long that 10 years passed and I was living physically in Jamaica, but mentally thinking about what life would be like in America. Once I landed at JFK and started to drive home to New Jersey, I quickly realized, and reality set in, that America was not the place that I thought it was. It wasn't the place where the roads were paved with gold and everything was brand new. But as a teenager, I came here and I made sure that I took advantage of the opportunities. And the first time that I was able to, I became a citizen so that I could vote and participate in the electoral process. And so I want to ask Commissioner Rollins, briefly tell us, what was your immigration journey?
My immigration journey started when my mother and her sisters migrated to America. Then later on came my father. My father came here and then he petitioned for us after my mother died. My father took that responsibility. We then later on migrated to America, landed in New York, and my eldest brother was living there and didn't too much love New York. But my father was living in New Jersey, so I joined him in New Jersey, work hard, and as he explained to us, give us a full lecture and work and go to school, becoming, as an immigrant, I had to, as soon as the time came for me, come around for me to become a citizen, my father reminded me, make sure that you become a citizen. Become a citizen, and I registered to vote, and today I'm still living in New Jersey and all part of the American dream.
Awesome. So we somewhat shared a similar experience. So what about you, Attorney Tucker?
Well, I came to the United States via the Institute of International Education. They had a program that I accessed while living in Jamaica, and I came with a J1 visa. And for those of you who have been having problems with J1 visas, working, trying to figure out when you should work, when you should not work, and what your status is after the visa expires, then I hear you, I understand you. Ultimately, however, because of that experience, I ended up in what is considered to be today in an administrative procedure, a removal procedure. Had an attorney. Here I am practicing immigration.
Awesome. So as you can see, we each had a different journey going through the immigration process. And I wanted to share that because that's the case with most of you, the audience. Everyone that's here went through different experience. And looking at the 2020 census data, there are over 300,000 people that live in Newark, and 34%, it says that 34% of people were born in another country. So we all journeyed here on a different process. Some individuals went through the asylum process. Some people came as international students, came as workers, or we went through the petition process. And so today we're going to talk about topics that affect all or most individuals in those categories. And so we want to start off by asking Mr. Tucker, Attorney Tucker, to, formally introduce himself, tell us who he is and what he does.
Yes, I am an immigration attorney. I like to say, in quotes, that I manufacture green cards. And when I say that, folks laugh, but they understand when I say I manufacture green cards, and that is in quote. I like what I do, and I also like to say that if you come to me for a consultation, then you're going to leave more informed, more educated than when you entered my office.
Well, so interested. What I want to know is that because of your tenure as an attorney, some of the things, the hot button issue right now on the land or in America is the border issue, immigration and lawmakers. Immigration in itself has become what is called a political football. The Democrats kick it, the Republicans receive it, the Republicans strike it. And I'm saying in this period, in this era of the border issue, I heard him talking about 42, Decision 42 or Message 42.
It's a good
can you elaborate on what 42 is all about?
Yeah, it's a good place to start. And you mentioned hot button issues. And it so happened that political asylum and Title 42 is indeed at the top of that list. But outside of political asylum and Title 42, we will also get into today the affidavit of support that most persons entering the United States to live permanently or even adjusting their status will have to deal with, and that goes to the I-864, the affidavit of support, and what determines if you are going to be a public charge or not. You also have issues relating to drug use, and it so happened that President Biden recently pardoned those who have been convicted, citizens who have been convicted, legal permanent residents who have been convicted of simple possession of marijuana. And you see, we say this because simple possession of marijuana is being legalized all over the United States. So the federal government or this involvement by the president through the pardon is going to be useful to many, along with the issue of marijuana use and simple possession of marijuana. You have foreign workers who have been here and now you are teetering on the edge of a recession. Tech companies have been laying off workers, and as you know, foreign workers are heavily used in the tech industry. So we'll touch on some of the things that they're going to be going through. And of course, we cannot leave out citizenship, because this is what and where we're going to get our power from, because if you didn't hear it before, the asset or what politicians value most, their currency is vote. Every single vote counts for them. So we're going to make sure that before the day is out, before we leave here, you'll get a full understanding as to why you should become a United States citizen.
Let us take, for example, I mean, one of the other issues after these persons were being pardoned, somebody with a green card is being pardoned, right? He's gone to jail, he's got a green card, and he's in deportation. Now that the system has pardoned these individuals, some have been sent back home to the mother country, the birth country. What has become of those citizens who got into the system, through the use of marijuana? What happened to them if they're living in another country? They were deported.
You speak of, say, non-citizens, because you get removed if you're a non-citizen. But since we're on the subject of non-citizens, let's speak about those who are coming about the border, and see what experience they can have. And incidentally, what you find is that non-citizens who have been removed from the United States and are left the United States and have no visa to re-enter, they're finding themselves coming through the border also. And why? Because they have family here, many have children here, and so they always have that need to come. But outside of that, you have the issue of crime and violence. You have the issue of having a well-founded fear of being persecuted where you live, in the country that you're coming from. And it is recognized internationally that if your life is threatened where you are and you can get to a country that recognizes the use of political asylum, then you will get a hearing. Now, this political asylum issue have been a football, like you termed before, political football, where one party, one jurisdiction is accepting it, other jurisdiction is finding that they should not accommodate it. And so it's been going back and forth as a political football. What has happened is because it is a political football, and because you have so many ancillary issues that's associated with political asylum, then you have, say, the Democrats deciding that they should be kinder and gentler on the issue of political asylum, and the Republicans always push the line that, listen, you have to use the legal means to enter the United States. But the thing is, when your life is being threatened, then the only means you know is to get out from where you are and try to find a safe place.
So for those who may not know what the asylum processes or Title 42, can you just explain to them what it is and what the current status of it is?
Well, yes. With political asylum, the previous administration, the administration before this present Joe Biden's administration, came to power with the promise of building a big, beautiful wall that would keep those who are coming over the southern border outside of the United States. Suffice it to say that did not happen, cannot happen. It's impossible to stop people who are moving from one location to another in order to protect their lives and their children's life. So what ended up happening is that different policies came about, and one of the policies that was used to control the border entry was Title 42. It's a piece of regulation that is used in times of extreme health problems to keep persons outside the United States. So they decided to use it and institute it on the southern border between the United States and Mexico primarily. Now it was slated to expire, and with its expiration, then you started to get the fear-mongering to say, well, it is now that you're going to see extreme amount of persons coming across the border into the United States, and that the border towns, the border states would not be able to accommodate it. And furthermore, that you had a responsibility as the government of the United States to control your borders, regardless of the fact that it is impossible to control. And that's incidentally is my opinion as to being able to control the border. And the Supreme Court decided to continue it until they had a hearing coming this February. So this February they'll have a hearing and decide what position they're going to finally take on the issue of Title 42. You see, Title 42 is not supposed to be used as immigration policy. And this incidentally is what Justice Gorsuch and Ketanji Brown pointed out in their dissenting opinion, saying that in essence Title 42 should not be used. It was used for COVID, and that should in essence should be the wherewithal of it and that it should not be used as policy to correct problems in immigration that different parties, different governments over the years have failed to control.
Okay, let's shift gears a little and look at, there are other immigrants who are coming here. They were being employed here as workers, for example, Twitter, Elon Musk, and there are other places, nurses, doctors, folks are being employed here, and some of them are being laid off. Some of them being given a pink slip. What happened to these folks who are being laid off? 42 is one thing, but now let's go to these these people who are being employed by big companies, big tech companies.
Yes.
What has become? What was the situation with them? Do they go back home? Is there any policy in place to?
You touch a very interesting and important subject, because it is not only the tech workers and the foreign workers that enter into a situation where they are uncertain what to do. During the pandemic, you also had students who entered in that area where the law wasn't clear and is not clear as to what is the next step for them. Now, as it relates to foreign workers, then yes, you're here on, say, a H-1B or a working visa that will expire over a period of time, and suddenly you're hearing that that 2 or 4 year period that you were expecting to be here working for that company is going to be short-lived, and you, in short order, would have come and would have established yourself with a mortgage to pay, possibly lease and bills, so on and so forth, car note, and now short-lived, and you're in essence now in a position where you have to make quick decisions. Now, what you in essence will have to do is, first of all, get some counsel. Don't stand out there, try to figure it out by yourself, because the immigration law, the immigration procedures, it is very wide, and you might find that there are different things in it that you might be able to access. One thing that I've noticed over time, however, is that many were finding themselves in a situation where their work visa is going to be, or their work experience is going to end, and is faced with the possibility of having to leave. Many of them have decided to switch to, say, student visas. And in turning to student visas, then they're going to be able to be here in the United States, and at the same time will be able to get the kind of visa that will allow them to work even, say, part-time. So that is the issue. One of the issues. The problem is that when you come in on specific visas that are specific to companies, then you're not going to be able to move from one company to another without going through what the rules are in the immigration process. So it becomes complicated.
So you can move from one company to the other, but you can move from the company to from the visa status of being hired to the visa status of being a student.
Yes, and not only that, you can move from a visa status to being married to a United States citizen, and you can get legal permanent residence through that means.
Okay.
So I think the key here is to get consultation, seek out the resources that exist, like, a local lawyer.
Yes.
I know even here in the city of Newark, the Caribbean Commission is under the Office of International Relations and Diaspora Affairs, and our deputy mayor always tells us, let the community know that our office exists to provide these type of services, to connect you with people. If you find yourself in those situations, they can help you get to the resources that you need. Would you say that the consulate, each consulate would also be able to?
Very, very, very useful information. The consulates have access and inroads into the different immigration offices. So, and they have interaction. So therefore you might have a problem and you bring it to the attention of the consulate, and they might be able to contact someone within the immigration system, USCIS, Department of Homeland Security, and get information that can be useful to you. The foreign student advisors, if you're a student and is having issues with what you must do if you run into problems with your being able to stay in the United States because your school might have moved to virtual and the rules might have required you to be physical, then you can use your foreign student advisor. And if along with the foreign student advisors, the political process work, the Congressional Representative Office can be and have always been very useful in resolving issues that can come up that you yourself might not be able to resolve, and you might not be able to resolve because you don't have the kind of money it will take to hire an attorney. But between your foreign student advisor and the congressional rep in your area, then you will get good help, and also through organizations such as yours, very useful.
So the non-student or the student organizer, the foreign student person is in the school. I know NJIT does have a foreign student service.
That's right.
So the foreign student service is responsible for the life of the student throughout the university as an immigrant who come in here as a foreign student.
That's right, and,
Okay.
and they're very helpful because they also liaise with persons in DHS and USCIS.
Okay.
So that takes us to, is there any other major issues or updates that we should know about
Well,
before we get to citizenship?
Oh yes, the affidavit of support.
Okay.
Each person coming to the United States or even adjusting their status here in the United States must, unless they're exempted from it, must have an affidavit of support that meets the standard that in essence is saying you will not become a public charge.
Okay, can you define for us what is an affidavit of support? How it impacts the newcomer or the person who is coming to the United States? Give us a breakdown on what it entails.
Okay, the I-864 actually is the form that is completed for the non-citizen entering, and this is a form completed by the sponsor to say, well, this person who is coming in will not come and depend on the government. All right, you will not become a public charge. Now, over the years, it was not codified. There was an understanding as to what would cause you to not be approved, what would cause you to be in the eyes of the adjudicating officer that you will become a public charge. Now, the previous administration, the administration before the Biden administration, was trying to codify the affidavit of support process, the public charge rule, by making it extreme to the point where school lunches given in school could affect your ability to be granted legal permanent residency. All right? The thing is, time ran out on them. Well, first of all, they went about doing it the wrong way. They went about doing it because time was against them by not following the regulatory process. So before they could go about correcting it, a judge shut it down. This administration came into office, the Biden administration, and so they discontinued it.
So are you saying that school lunches for someone who came to this country and they put their in public school, they would not be able to access
under the
lunch?
Trump administration?
Are you
Not anymore.
hold on,
But we're
let-
not going to go into that because folks will hear that and it will take us out of what the real situation is.
Okay.
So that would have happened under Trump.
Under the Trump administration,
Yes,
that
things
is
like
what
that
they-
would have happened. But under the Biden administration, they codified it to make certain that those who use or have need to use the affidavit of support and address their possibility of becoming a public charge understand exactly what they're looking for. In essence, the long and short of it is that if you're getting non-cash benefits, for the most part, that don't affect you. In many instances, you can get medical care, Medicare, and that won't affect you, providing it is not long term. So the idea here is that they're looking at things that you're going to be accessing that is going to be costing the government a whole lot of money over a long period of time.
And is there a certain date that took effect?
Yeah, it took effect this past right before Christmas, December 23rd.
Okay.
So in essence, the whole idea of them doing this is because persons who were eligible for traditional benefits like food stamps, children who were eligible for school lunches, you find that a lot of new immigrants, persons especially who anticipated that they would have had to do an affidavit of support, they started to not take it. And that is a benefit that was there for a purpose, because health and nutrition of families and of students are very important. So therefore, this administration, the Biden administration, came about and codified it and have made it simpler. But understand that the overarching idea there was not to make the public charge provision more difficult. It was there to make it more understandable. So it's not any more difficult if those who are filling out the form today run into the applications and they're seeing questions about assets, so on and so forth, on the I-485, the adjustment of status. So don't make that scare you.
So I've completed that process. So when my little sister and I came here with my mom, my three older sisters weren't able to come. So years later, my mom petitioned, but as the person that was, making the income, I was able to be the sponsor. Has anything changed with that process in terms of getting someone to assist?
No,
Okay.
Nothing has changed here. And it's good that you mentioned that, because invariably you're going to need, the sponsor has to fill out an affidavit of support, the I-864, and if their income is not enough, then they get a co-sponsor. And sometimes you go to family and they're seeing this and they're hearing that it's putting them in a position that they can, or the government can come at them for any benefits that their relative would use. But as they pointed out in information that was distributed by this administration, the rule is that when you try to access some benefits, you're not going to get it if you don't fall into some categories. So for the most part, it is there, yes, but I've not seen situations where the government have decided that, okay, you were the sponsor of this person ended up getting some benefits, so we're coming after you to repay us.
I wanted to swing back at the people who were employed. For example, when a teacher is being given a job, I wanted because there are still folks who are here who are teachers and who are nurses, and now they realize that the situation has gotten better for some and the situation has gotten worse for others. These nurses are asked to leave, teachers are asked to leave. They're now renewing the contract. Professionals, tech professionals are asked to leave. How long do they have to leave the country? How long do they have? How long after they're asked to leave? How long after do they? How long?
Well, the issue that you're posing relates to what is considered
in terms of immigration.
Yeah, the issue that the question you ask relates to accumulating or accruing unlawful presence. You see, when you stay past a time that immigration or USCIS or DHS considers to be legal, then you start to accrue what is known as unlawful present time. See, and when you start to accrue unlawful present time, then you're now subjected to the 3-year bar or the 10-year bar if you leave and try to come back in. So most persons will try to leave before they start to accrue any unlawful present time, so they are not subjected to a bar in applying for another visa. And a green card, incidentally, is a visa to live here permanently. And you have non-immigrant visas that allow you to come and stay temporarily. Now, when you have unlawful present time and you go in and try to get that visa approved, then the adjudicating officer at the embassy might say, well, no, because you overstayed your time, so now you need a waiver. To avoid that, so you try to find out what the rules are, and if you have accrued unlawful present time, then your decision is going to be, all right, what is my risk-reward analysis? And I say risk-reward analysis because that's reality. That is reality for many, all right? Do I have important issues that I still have to attend to here.
Right.
Should I just get up and leave and then not certain when I'm going to be coming back? Or should I do my risk-reward analysis and say, all right, I'm here. The law, the rules might say I cannot work legally. I go back home, then what are the opportunities there? You do that analysis. And at that point, you in essence, from my analysis, is not making a decision about immigration rules and procedures. You're making a business decision about your life.
Wow. And I think that we're going to turn it into the discussion on citizenship, right? So for those individuals who are here, living, with a green card, residents, because you don't want to give up you're true Jamaican, you don't want to give up your Jamaican citizenship. What advice do you have for them? What are some changes? What are things that they should do now? And why is it important for them to become citizens?
Well, it's interesting that you say that you're a true Caribbean person and you don't want to. You feel, I've heard it, that they feel unpatriotic by taking on a citizenship. But you know what, the person who said that to me 10 years ago, 20 years ago, they're coming to my office now doing their citizenship. So at the end of the day, the long and short of it is that this is your home now. And in order to participate in your home, then, and I would say participate via the Constitution, all right? Because the Constitution is a contract that says, we're supposed to live in the United States. For you to participate, you cannot participate unless you're voting. And for you to be able to vote, you have to be a United States citizen. And incidentally, you have some jurisdiction that will allow you to vote in some local elections. And this has caused confusion to some persons thinking that they're allowed to vote. My counsel to you is take the position that you're not allowed to vote and not go out there and get confused and is in a jurisdiction that is saying, yes, this is not federal that we're signing you up to voting. It's just a local election that legally you can vote in these local elections. But I say to you, to be on the safe side, stay away from all voting. Don't get confused. You'll be able to vote in 5 years after your legal permanent residency. In 3 years, if you're married to a U.S. citizen.
So in other words, you're saying that if you come here and you're not a legal, you're a legal resident, but not registered as you have not obtained your citizenship.
You're naturalized.
You're not
citizen.
supposed to vote.
That's
because
right.
some people were of the opinion, because they live in this local community, for example, living in Newark, I'm living here. I got a green card. My child is going to school. There's school board election. They should know that they cannot vote simply because you are not a citizen.
Well, yes, and even though in some jurisdiction they'll say school board election will allow you to vote, but some non-citizens get confused and ending up signing up to vote in federal elections or in elections that they are not supposed to. So my position on that is hold off until you become a United States citizen, so you don't get confused.
But before you go, I want to know, you promised you're going to come back, you're going to return to us, you're going to, we're always looking forward for your visit and to make sure that you keep us abreast with what's going on in terms of immigration. We want to make sure that this become a common thing, right? Because the Caribbean Commission needs you. We need your services. You always did, you always make yourself available. And there's a lot more that is going on in the state Senate, in the United States Senate, the New Jersey state, right? We do not know what their position is, but when you say the national, when you say state government, the federal government, we want this information. We want this information to continue to flow because there's a lot of immigrants build urban communities.
Well, we have spoken to the issue of citizenship and how important that is. And this is something I believe we are going to dedicate our involvement with.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you.
It's, I would say, even reflecting on the previous issue that we recorded on Alpha Drones USA, right? So there was a point in the discussion where Kelvin said, there are policy changes that are going to need to happen in order for our community to take advantage of things or for, regulations to put in place for us to utilize drones a certain way. And those policy changes can only come if we participate in the process. So for you to participate in the process, you have to become a citizen. You have to be able to vote. Voting is where we're able to make decisions on key things that impact us. Everything, every item, every decision that's made, it's a political decision. And we need you, the Caribbean residents, to think about, if you're not a citizen as yet, consider doing so. Contact Mr. Tucker. We'll share his information. Contact the Office of International Relations and Diaspora Affairs, the Caribbean Commission. We are on social media. You can search for us, and we can advise you. Look forward to us having things such as citizenship drive in the new year. So we thank you for watching. If there's any question, reach out to us. Again, thanks to NORC TV for providing this platform. And yes, become citizens, take part in the process, and have a great rest of your year.